Good morning, everybody. This is Mog back here with Mog'sCast. And what we're going to be doing today is actually launching up our first modules up for the space station around the Mun. And I know I've mentioned it a little bit before, I know I've hinted at a few other things that we're going to be working on, and that's definitely all still coming. But yeah, I want to get this established as kind of like a staging ground for testing out the Kethane in a practical use and actually getting like a mining system going. So here we go. I've already got something out here on the pad, and we're just going to go ahead and load this up. This is a new habitation module. I'm planning out this space station around the Mun a bit more than I did for Orion Station, just because I want it to seem a little more intentioned. See, what we've got here is a, this is going to be the habitation module and the communications array portion. So a couple of, well, a lot of antennas just for look mostly, and then one of the, my Jigglypuffs right there. Satellite things. I don't know what they're called. I'm totally spacing on it right now. Dish? There's an actual word, I'm sure, and I'm totally spacing on it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and try to make these a little bit quicker than the last videos, just for the sake of ease of editing and ease of upload so that you guys get these things quicker and I don't have to spend all day working on them. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get this launched. Now, one thing you'll notice here when I launch is these little clamps, I think, are going to explode. I haven't been able to figure out why that is. I've actually tried moving them and angling them so they're not like this. I've had them flat closer to the tops of these tanks, and I still can't figure out what's going on with them. It might be something with a mod I've got installed, or maybe something with the new update. I have no idea. So, either way, it doesn't affect me. It just looks funny. So here we go, we got throttle up, kill rotation on, got my orbital info, and it looks like we've got a crew of Doodlas, Birming Kerman, and Greg C. Kerman on our flight today, who are going to be stationed on the Mun station, which I haven't come up with a name yet for. Considering a few things, but if you guys got any ideas, give me a drop in the comments there, and we're just going to go ahead and I should probably check where the Mun is, because I make this mistake too often. Yeah, let's speed this up and get into a better position so that we can burn straight at it, hopefully. Excuse me. So let's see. I tend to have good luck launching just about where I'm on the opposite side, because then you build your apoapsis, and as you're getting up there, you're just getting close to burning for the moon. So, hints for folks out there who are curious. And throttle still up, kill rotation, got my info, here we go. So yeah, there you go, it just explodes. Doesn't seem to do any damage. I thought it might have been hitting these RCS units, but I moved them and it still blew up, so I have no idea. But here we are, about halfway down on our first set of drop tanks from this asparagus staging system. As you can see, a little bit smaller launcher, this thing will do just fine. It's got enough thrust-weight ratio to get us out there, enough delta V. So dropping those first tanks, and we're coming up on the 150 meters a second mark, about 3.5 thousand meters up. Gonna kick up throttle just a little bit to get up closer to 200. It's one thing I've been kind of bad at with my test launches lately, is keeping things under 200 and trying to be efficient before we hit that first layer of atmosphere density break. Still climbing as we lose fuel. And get a little game leg there. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Still climbing. Coming up on that 200. Don't gotta be perfect. You really don't. It's not rocket science. What is going on with my computer? I think my hard drive's starting to get ready to go. It does the little clicking every now and again. Like, not like consistent, but every now and again everything hangs and it's like click, and then it comes back. I'm pretty sure my my hard drives are probably getting ready to go, which sucks. I've got a 2 terabyte in there right now, which is probably part of the reason. Big old huge drive, using it for my main stuff. And lots of storage, so there's that. But I'll deal with that in the future. Not a big deal. We're gonna go ahead and start burning out our gravity turn here. Kick back up that throttle. Watching the apoapsis here. I'm also planning a treat for you guys, and something I haven't noticed on YouTube much when it comes to Kerbal space videos. What I haven't seen a lot of is people doing like their whole launch stage and everything like that in cockpit. I mentioned before about the solar sailor I wanted to work on, the big solar arrays powered by ion engines, that kind of thing. Big ship. Envisioned it sort of like an old sailing ship is how I pictured it. That's why I call it the solar sailor, sailing on the waves, the currents of space, and quite literally using, the sun to get around. So I feel it's equivalent. But I'm working on it in stages. I've built the cockpit, which is a Mark III cockpit, because I really like that cockpit, especially with the internals mod. Where, gosh, I can't even remember who it was. C7 maybe? C7? That could be wrong. That could be totally wrong. Somebody did the in-cockpit view. So like when you go IVA and you're seeing inside the cockpit, it's actually all fleshed out. It looks very nice. It's an amazing mod, and I'll put a link to it in the description as well. Just so you guys can find that. It doesn't change anything. All it does is the stock one doesn't have a very good internal view. So what it does is it pushes, or it redoes the inside view, spruces it up, gives you a lot more dials and just higher resolution stuff to look at while you're in there. So it's very cool, I think, to fly from that view. A lot of good window room in that cockpit as well. So I've been testing that. I can fly it up reliably, all from cockpit, using some of the MechJeb information. I do have to go out to the map to make it easier to know when to burn and things like that. But since there's no good indication for that kind of stuff that you can get in the cockpit to begin with, it's kind of a drawback, which is why I'm pretty sure why a lot of people don't. But screw that, I'm gonna do it because it's kind of fun. I've got cameras installed on it, so I can kind of get keep an eye on the things as they stage away. It's got them on there mainly for docking up with other units, but yeah. So fun little thing. I've done some testing with that. I've got it to a point where I can reliably fly it in cockpit view for the most part. It's a pretty simple stage, so it's nothing too hefty or anything like that, so it's fairly easy, as far as I say anyway. So just getting ready, setting up the node to know when to burn out and get our full orbit, which we probably won't even use. We're just going to get up there a little bit and burn at the proper times to keep ourselves in a stable orbit as we get ready to burn out toward the moon. So getting all staged up here, we're going to go ahead and just time warp a little bit, keep things moving. Hopefully no sitting around too much this episode. I'll try and keep on top of that. I know it's one of the things that drags out, and then I have to go back through and speed up things in the video, which cuts off any sort of things that I may have spoken about, as well as in-game audio. Doesn't seem very consistent for you guys. So I'm trying to be a little better about that. I'm still going to have episodes like the one I just released, which is like a little partial episode, quick 4-minute kind of thing, just showing anything that I've worked on between full broadcasts. Typically just monotonous things, repairing the station and dropping off a new module on the Mun base, Atlantis. So you guys didn't have to rewatch the launch and that whole process. So pretty much doing the exact same thing you've seen me do in other videos. So there is that. I didn't burn. I'm being terrible. Angle up just a hair. Keep things moving. Okay. See, this is what my computer does. It just hangs here for a few seconds at a time. I don't even know if you're going to be able to hear that. It may actually totally stop recording at that portion too. So what I just said was my computer is hanging at those portions, and I just realized that may actually be something you guys didn't hear me say previously when it was getting hung up a little bit. It just hangs a few seconds every now and again. And you did hear me say about the whole hard drive clicking, because obviously I was talking about that after the click. Makes a lot more sense. Blah. I'm just killing time. Here we go. I'm trying to stay angled up, not push out my apoapsis too far. And whatever, we've got orbit. So we should be coming up on the Mun pretty quick here. Now, what you'll notice about this module, this is my last stage. Once I detach this has no mobility whatsoever. So I have to get this thing up to orbit around the Mun on just what we have here. So that's going to be interesting. I actually am going to set up a node just for some better precision because of that. It's pretty easy to get out to the Mun regardless by just waiting, but I want to come in at a really good angle just so I'm not wasting as much fuel. About 88, let's push that a little more. 55, that's perfect. Oh, I need 15. I need to be burning right now. Go, go. Now, if I don't nail this perfect, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to correct it as we get further out. I just want to get the main initial arc going, because it's important. So, and yeah, as you can see, it's not going to go so super. That's okay, not a big deal. It's because we burned a little late. Get rid of that, and what we're going to do is put a node there. Burn a little harder. Nope, I lied. We're going to tilt the other way. I think I need a little more push. Okay, so we're just getting settled here a little bit. Should I slow it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna slow us down a little bit, and then I'm gonna push our angles. And as you can see, it's lowering that periapsis slowly. Okay, 75, I'll deal with it, that's fine. Just need to burn off 33 delta V to get in correct position for this. And as you'll notice, it's not giving me an estimated burn. That's because it's a really short burn on these engines. So I just kind of have to gauge it by how I know the ship provides power. Or thrust, I should say. How's my inclination? Okay, I'm actually going to burn a little south too, because that's going to push that once I grab the gravity well if I'm not angled perfectly. So I burn south, and that means I'll start coming back up as I get closer to the gravity well of the moon, which will then pull me the opposite direction of where I'm burning from. So as you can see, I was coming in a little high, and it was pushing my entry angle down. So I burnt a little lower, further out, along the, well, a little south. Or at least I will be burning a little south, which will be on the 180 a little more. As you can see, the node's just a hair over to the south end of the spectrum. Just a hair, which will allow me that correction in angle. So when I hit that gravity well, I'll curve around perfectly, hopefully, right along that equator. It won't be exactly perfect, because that's pretty nuts to actually pull off perfectly, but I'll be there close enough. It'll take just small corrections once I get into position. I'm going to stop talking about that and actually start fast forward and get into position for this burn. Unless you guys like to hear about that stuff. If you guys actually like to hear me talking about this kind of stuff and explaining how I understand this, by all means, drop me comments if it helps you learn. If I'm explaining things wrong, as I've stated before, please tell me, and I'm always happy to learn too. So, I mean, that's how you get better, right? You learn. So here we go. Getting ready. We're in T-minus 13 seconds. And I'm just going to do a test when we get into closer, about T-minus 5. Just kind of going to throttle up a little bit and see how I drop. Okay. Just going to kick that throttle a hair and let it burn right through. There we go. And kill the throttle right as we're on that line, pretty much. So 90 out, that's not bad. That's workable. I want to be in a really low orbit around the Mun for this station, just so it doesn't take as much to refuel the station when we're running caffeine up to it. And besides, it doesn't have any atmosphere, it doesn't have that, so it won't slow you down. You could roll a station 5K off the surface, and I think you'll be safe from all mountains and stuff. I could be wrong on that. You may want to look that up if you ever intend to, but it's really low where the mountains come up to. I think maybe 3,000, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 2,500. But yeah, I mean, you can get a low station set up on there. You can get a station on there where you can see it from the surface. You can just be standing there, and if it's coming over you, you can watch it, and you'll physically see it pass over you. That's how close you can get these damn stations on the thing. They're going fast, like real fast. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Okay, coming in. And yes, I do have the alarm clock mod installed, so that I can start setting up more intricate missions where I can like shoot some guys out toward Duna, or any other planets. I think Duna's going to be my next goal, is get something out on Duna or one of its moons. I'd like to hit Jewel. I haven't ever been to Jewel, or any other planet for that matter of fact there. I haven't been out to anything other than Duna with a satellite and Duna's moon, Ike, I think it is. Ike, I've done some imagery on with a satellite on a different previous game. So that's all I've done as far as exploration. You guys have seen me get to the Mun. You've seen me do stuff around Kerbal. Have you guys seen me do Minmus? I don't know. Let's see. Do I have anything on Minmus? I don't think you guys have seen me do Minmus yet. I was running some tests. I've definitely been to Minmus. And if you guys would like, I can actually, in fact, I'm going to shoot something out there to Minmus, just so you guys can get that experience, and I can have it video recorded. And just setting up my node here. Whoa, that was a lot higher than I anticipated it being. Okay, that's fine. Burn it a little smaller. So like I said, I do want this thing in there close. I'd like to be around 50. So we'll burn out to that, and then watch my eccentricity. Where am I sitting along there? Okay, I'll have to do a little bit of inclination change, just so that I'm more centered around the equator, as opposed to kind of having that little fluctuation where you go a little high and a little low along the equator. I don't like that. I mean, it's inevitable, you're going to have it, but I like it to be under 0.5% if I'm trying to make a stable system, or a stable station. Okay. Now, I'm probably going to, when I start getting up some of these bigger modules and building onto the station, which I'm actually going to launch one up next, it's not going to be a huge portion, and I'll probably just speed through that and talk about some other things, but I'm going to be taking up a tug and a little space core for the next part. So it's one of my long hauls modified. I put a couple of small cameras on it. I really like that little tug. It's a great little tug for station operations and station keeping. That's going to come up with a little station core, which is that 6-sided docking node with docking rings attached to it, and it's going to attach to the bottom of my dude here. So right here after the node, do I have lights? I think I got small lights. But yeah, it's just going to attach against here and provide that other 5 docking ports. And I'm going to dock everything else to it, and these also will have a docking node up top. I'm basing this layout on the ISS, like the International Space Station. It's got kind of all its core stuff right in the center, and then it's got like solar arrays off the sides and stuff out the back. And that's kind of how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to have my fueling stations and a couple of smaller tanks out back here. I'm not going to have like 4 huge orange tanks like I did on Ryan Station. I did that mainly because I knew I wouldn't be able to refuel it with cathane easily, and cathane does take a while. It's not exactly easy. It's cool that you have that functionality, but it's surprisingly slow and inefficient. I think cathane effectively is 1/5 the mass of other fuels, so it takes 5 times as much cathane, like 5 units of cathane to a single unit of other things. On top of that, you're also dealing with the conversion ratio and its efficiency. With the big converter, I think it's 90% efficiency, and like the smaller ones like 70, 60 maybe. So you're losing that additional to that 5-to-1 conversion. I believe that's correct. Let me know if you guys know for sure. There have been videos that have talked about it, and that's kind of what I've gathered. I believe my understanding is correct on this. We're just coming in here to the Mun, finally. I told you I would try to not drag this out, but here I am, dragging it out. So, just speeding along, T-minus 13. We're going to go ahead and watch from here so you can actually see what's going on. And of course, so that I can judge where I am in the process. Kick that up to full, and it's just shrinking. Boom! Whoa, too low. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get flipped around and just expand that back out a little bit. I should have been a little more careful. That's what happens with powerful engines on a low gravity planetary body. Okay, that's fine. And then we're gonna set up another node here, right on that periapsis, and start dropping our apoapsis until they're about even. There we go. So 55, 55, perfect. And then all I need to do is correct inclination here. I think I'm a little more north, yeah, on the outside of the orbit than I am on the inside. So I need to wait until it's pretty even here. What sucks about doing this is it's harder to gauge when you're perfect. I mean, an easy way to do it is to go right on its orbital line, but that's not even always perfect with some orbital things. For example, Minmus fluctuates around its line because it's so small. As it goes through orbit, it's like changing positions as it goes through. I don't know if it's in a circle or which way it goes. I just know it's, whenever I get out there, it's almost never perfectly on its orbital line. So that's harder to gauge. But the moon's pretty stable. The Mun is pretty stable. You can almost always, if I'm not mistaken, almost always just go right here and adjust your inclination on that. Okay, so coming in to the dark side of the moon. I'm going to get ready to circularize our orbit, so it's less elliptical. Less elliptical? I don't know the proper word there. Okay. T-minus 30. Let's get right on that node. And we need to burn off 43 delta V. Excuse me. Okay. Boom. Oh, I burned a little too much. That's okay. Not a big deal. Whatever. Okay. Now, and the reason I want to get this all now is because this will be the last time that the station's really maneuverable as a whole. Because next time we get another module up here, it becomes a little more unbalanced. And each time after that, it's a little more unbalanced. So, really, when you're planning out your orbit for your station, you want to do so on its initial parts, because it's easier. And you're more balanced, you're more stable. It doesn't take as much to change its overall orbit, which, along the same lines, I'm probably going to try fixing that range a bit, too. 257. 55, 54, that's close. Okay. Excuse me. So you know what's great? You know what's great that I noticed this morning? Living in an apartment. And that's partially sarcastic, partially not. Because partially, it is great. Because when shit breaks, you don't have to really fix it, for the most part. Water heater breaks, call up your office. Your dishwasher breaks, call up the office. Washing machine breaks, etc. When you own a home, it's yours. Great, do whatever you want. Tear down walls. Use a sledgehammer. Take that extra bedroom, make it into a giant living room with whatever. Just tear down walls. It's great. Do whatever you want. Can't do that with an apartment. But what you also have to worry about when you have your own place is fixing crap that breaks. And when I woke up this morning and started making coffee, tossed the old coffee grounds in the garbage and realized there was a puddle of water underneath my sink. And that's always just great and fun. So apparently, one of the connectors, the little lock Jigglypuffs underneath the sink at the U-bend, came loose. I'm assuming because of the vibrations, slowly over time it became loose. Vibrations from the garbage disposal we have in the sink. So we were leaking a little bit of water all over down there. all of our dishwashing detergent soaked through and just like expanded in the box. Our garbage bags were soaked. All of our recycling stuff in there, like all the cardboard stuff, soaked through. Good times. Had to clean that up, so that was got a little bit late start in the morning. Didn't get to drink my coffee right away, and didn't get to start going on the video right away. So a little annoying this morning, but it is what it is. So we're getting in here. We need to burn off 7 delta V, well, almost 8 delta V, so don't need much. T-minus 5, and I'm just going to come over here to the side and watch. Okay. So there's that. How's my orbits looking? 54, 55. Close enough. They're within, yeah, they're within 500, 400 meters, roughly. That's why it jitters when they're too close. Any sort of movement and wobble in your ship gets amplified to your nodes because it's moving around where it's being quote-unquote controlled from. It's not, I don't believe, taking into your orbits from your center of mass. It's actually taking them from wherever you're controlling from. So that'll affect your orbit readings as well. So any vibrations or rotations of the ship, even though it doesn't look like I'm doing much, get amplified. And oh geez, I think I'm burning off, well, not too much delta, or monopropellant, so that's good. I had left on kill rotation. I was hoping that wasn't the case. And also another thing to notice, if you're right on the equator, you can actually point directly north along your horizon. And what that does is faces you perfectly up and down to the poles of the planetary body you're in. So you'll stay stable. Your ship won't be moving erratically when it's going through orbit. All it does is spin on its side through orbit, so it's easier to dock things to it if it's in a stationary position like that. It's a lot more predictable. Things do move, and due to the rotations, they move. So your station overall will rotate, but especially with smaller things like this where they're easier to manipulate, it's just it's easy to do to position it that way to make docking your next parts easier. So we're just going to go ahead and expand these out and get ready to bring up our next module, which is going to be our tug and our space core. And then tomorrow, I think I'm going to bring up some other parts. I've built the solar array, I've built the other habitation module, which is our science module that's going to attach. It's pretty much a replica of this, just with different parts. And it's got quantum struts to hold it all together in the center when that dock gets on here. And then this part's going to pop off, and our solar arrays are just going to pop right into the ends here, is the idea. So eventually when that happens, I'm going to eject this out. In fact, man, didn't wish I had to waste so much. Do I have... This thing does have electrical charge for the moment. Decouple. Go to this. Start this rotate, if I can. Okay, let's go double speed, get this clear. Okay, so there we go. The reason I gotta do that quick is just because this doesn't have any way to generate power, and it's running on an unmanned core. So once this thing runs out of electricity, I can't control it no more. So the idea is to keep your engines going, because they provide electricity. Through, I don't know if it's thermal generators or if it's just, I have no idea. But I know it's a thing. Okay, so just right along our retrograde, we're just going to kill that orbital velocity and drop this thing to the surface. Yep, there we go. And our station just continues along its path, and that is, I'd say, a pretty dang good orbit for our station. The other one was named Orion Station. I would like to come up with a clever name for this. Right now it's just the UKIS, the United Kerbal Industries Space Station, which is, yeah, it's kind of what our campaign is, the UKI campaign, United Kerbal Industries. That's just the story. No real meaning, reason, rhyme, whatever to it. Let's watch this thing crash and we'll get ready to launch up our next part. Og. There we go. Tracking station, make sure everything is looking good up there. Orbiting the Mun. Yarp. Okay. So back to that launch pad, we'll see who we get on this run up, bringing up our long haul. Hopefully it's not one of the people that have been getting resurrected. I don't want to have, if I can help it, duplicates of you subscribers up on the station, unless something happens. And it looks like I'm going to have to kill you guys. And I really gotta pee, so I'll be right back. Okay, folks, we are back. Sorry about the delay. As you might have noticed at the end, or at the before I paused it there, we had like Brinstar and Shroom up in the pilot seats here, so I had to kill a few crews to rotate those a bit. We are back here with Willy, Wiley, I don't know how to say that, and Hudfrey Kerman, Wiley, I guess. I don't know. We're going ahead and launching up a slightly modified long haul. I've tried with a few different designs. I've added like a tank in here, like a fuel tank, and a couple of small like forward boosters and retro radials along here just to see how it would work. Put a few winch sets. That's another thing I have added the Kerbal attachment system in, and I will be using it at some point or another, I'm sure. I'm trying to build a sky crane like device for doing stuff like that. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm just toying with a few different ideas, and I'd like to actually use a proper winch when I do it instead of just, you know, decouple nodes. But I mean that's I've done that before, and that works really well. Scott Manley has a video of him dropping a mining rig, maybe. I think that may have been from a winch. Maybe it might have actually been from a docking node. I don't recall. It's been a little while, but I'd like to do one with a winch, just because it's kind of cool and it serves quite a few purposes. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop killing time here and let's go ahead and get this thing launched. And there it goes again. Damn clamps breaking. I have no idea why that happens. So if you guys have any idea, please let me know. It's really annoying. But here we go, just starting to rotate. This thing is super slow, so that's fine. We're getting ready to kick off our first tanks pretty quick here. I did write down a few things to make sure I talk about during this capture here. Just to make sure that I'm going over some news in the gaming world in general, as well as news for Kerbal Space Program. I'm just gonna not worry about that just yet. I'm gonna save that a little bit. Got a couple things to talk about. It's easier once I actually finalize an orbit, or at least get up into a decent orbit. But yeah, long haul, and this is hauling up our space station core, which is just this little docking node here to allow for module parts to be brought in and easily docked together. Now it is surprisingly heavy for this little piece. I was actually very surprised by how much it's offset my center of mass, but then again, I guess this isn't too heavy for just my long haul, so maybe that had to do with it. I didn't actually check weights. Oh, for God's sake. There I go. Not even paying attention to my throttle, not paying attention to my altitude, and just chatting. That's what happens. It's terrible. I hope we can still get this thing out there. If not, I do have the long haul that has a lot of RCS fuel, and I should be able to do at least some orbital operation stuff with it. I'm gonna tilt down a little further just to offset that terribleness. It's a little less efficient, but I'm just gonna burn that down to I think about the 40. I'm gonna get my pro grade marker down here at least. And there goes those. So kill those, drop those, and okay. Oh, let's switch to an orbital view. That is okay. Apoaps is at about 670 now, so just gonna bring that down as we pass the 40K mark of altitude and come down to the horizon, start burning out that vertical speed. Lateral speed? What's the official term for that? Orbital speed? I'm gonna say orbital speed. Screw it. We're bringing up that periapsis from the center of the planet. And I'm gonna burn a little a little lower to hopefully not push that. Okay, whatever. Got a new cup of coffee. I'm doing good. Now, I gotta remember, transfer fuel out of this thing and refuel both of these before undocking it, just so that I have full fuel tanks. Not for weight, just, well, weight distribution helps, but just so I have all the fuel I can carry. Probably won't need it, probably won't need most of it, probably won't need more than 10% of it, I would imagine, if everything goes smooth. But it is what it is. So let's get ready here. And the Mun. Darn it, I didn't time that, but that's not terrible. It's not too far off. Therefore, burn, burn, burn. Circularize that shit. I'm actually going to push that forward just a hair and see what happens if I burn out. Well, I do get a collision. Let's see if I can fix that. 240. No. Yeah, there we go. That'll work. Get that out to about an 80 kilometer periapsis on the Mun. That'll give me some good wiggle room. How am I looking inclination-wise? Let's burn a little south. Nope, that's a terrible idea. What am I doing? Am I ruining everything? Whatever. I'll fix it in flight. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go point down at my node and get ready. It looks like a 24-second burn, burning off about 1,100 delta V to make that change in orbit. Or, yeah, to pull out of Kerbin's gravity well and into the Mun's. So there we go. Let's go ahead and fast forward this a little bit. We'll make this initial burn and then we'll start talking. T-minus 25 seconds. We're going to burn at about T-minus 13, just to give that extra 2 seconds for the engines to throttle up to full, since it does take time to get that throttle all the way up to 100%. And there it is, 13. Burn up. And here we go. It's actually not terrible. It's less thrown out than my previous one, I think, initially. Slow it down. Too much. Balls. Whatever. Close enough. Kill that. What are we looking at here? Or did I burn too much? Yes, I think I did. Do burn off about 90 delta V here to get into that position. And how am I looking on fuel? I got enough. Okay, so there's that. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and correct my orbit, my incoming path, my incoming trajectory to the Mun. And then we'll go over a few things. I wanted to talk about some Kerbal news. We've got some video, actually, a quick little teaser video for the re-entry heat effects that are going to be coming out in the next update. The heat and the damage and structural instability and all that stuff of re-entry hasn't been added yet. From what I understand, it's just the effect. So when you're coming back into the atmosphere, you'll start seeing that flames and stuff coming off your ship as you're hitting the atmosphere, which I think is really cool. They showed off two different variants of that. One that was a pretty basic particle shader that they have coming off the ship at different angles, based on, I believe, incoming light. Whoa! What am I doing? And they've got another one that I think they said Nova Salisco worked on, which he's one of the guys that did some modding prior to this, but he's actually been brought onto the team officially now. which is awesome, I think, because that's really cool that they're actually pulling people whose mods do really well and are really cool. As you'll notice, this thing is freaking out. I hate that. But yeah, so there's one with where he did some particle effects of that as well, and I think that one looks amazing. It's like little pieces, little bits of flame shooting off your ship and stuff like that. Looks really good. I'll put a link in the description if I of the video here if I can track that down again. It's also a video on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it if you search for it. The other thing I wanted to mention is I do also now have full permission by Squad to go ahead and publish these videos. They're not worried about copyright infringement, that kind of stuff. I've sent them an email and they've responded and said it's totally fine. They've even offered, without me having even asked, they're like, you know, you can monetize your channel if you want, actually put ads, try to make a little bit of money. We're totally fine with that too, so hey, that's cool. I appreciate that, Squad. You guys are really awesome and great with the community, so that's awesome. So I've got permission from those guys. I've also looked up a few others, sent out a few other emails to different companies for future game streaming or Let's Plays. I've gotten no responses back yet, but this was just last night that I sent these out, though I do have official, after reading through the terms of use on Mojang's website for Minecraft. They're totally fine with people doing this as long as, you know, either you follow a couple certain rules and you're not blatantly trying to scam people by using the Minecraft name and or other assets. But if you're making videos, just sharing with the community, having fun, they're really cool with it too. So, and that includes also, from what I understand, you can have ads on your channel and they don't mind, as long as you follow those certain simple rules they have laid out, which I've read through. So look for that in the future. So that's totally fine for me to use. I've sent emails out to Ubisoft because I would like to do some of their games maybe in the future. I know it's one of those bigger companies. Some people are like, oh, Ubisoft, EA, blah, 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 blah. But whatever, some of their games are fun. Just because some people may not agree with a company's overall stance on things or how they do things, doesn't mean that their products are any less good. That's not to say that I've enjoyed every one of their games that's ever been released, whatever, that's just personal preference, it is what it is. But I'd like to do some videos from Far Cry 3, possibly other ones like maybe Assassin's Creed sometime. But I don't have it on PC, so I'd have to fix that. Anyway, I just sent them an email to their legal team, or press team, I can't recall which, but waiting on a response from that. I've also sent emails over to Bethesda to ask about broadcasting Skyrim, broadcasting Fallout. I think those would be fun. I really like games that can be modded because you can personalize them and augment the game with things that you believe should be in the game that never got added. For example, Skyrim's got a lot, huge community out there for mods, and there's so many things that you can do that I think really can enhance gameplay. If you guys played New Vegas, you'll know about the hardcore mode that was built into the game where you had to eat and sleep and drink, I think, all those things, which was kind of a cool spin on it. Like, you had to actually kind of hunt for food, keep fed, which I thought's awesome in a game like that, in a sandbox game. You really should have other things on you other than just quest objectives to worry about. So I have stuff like that installed on my Skyrim game. I play that way. I have like camping kits I can set up in the middle of nowhere if I need to get sleep or warm up in the middle of the night, those kind of things. Among plenty of other things on my mods, but not my mods, but installed on my game. So yeah, just getting prepped and ready for that kind of stuff in the future. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So there we go, we got our orbit corrected there, and we'll be coming in there soon. The other thing I wanted to mention is just a couple things coming out in the world of gaming news. So maybe some of you guys have heard Arma 3 is up on Steam. You can purchase it. It's not out, quote unquote, just for official notice here. It is not fully released. This is a pre-release version of the game. I think you can pay like $25 and you get access to the game, something like that, in the beta stages. And it's still buggy, obviously. It's not fully released. There hasn't been they haven't fully bug tested it. This is kind of what this is for people to get a taste of the game early on and hopefully provide them feedback to build a better game, fix bugs, things like that. So if you guys play the old Armas or Operation Flashpoint? I think that was the other one that uses a similar engine. Similar games. By all means, go check it out. Haven't done it yet, but I'm really looking forward to playing that, and especially looking forward to New DayZ. The standalone looks really cool. They've been releasing some videos. Dean Rocket Hall, he has a channel on YouTube here too. He hasn't uploaded a whole lot of stuff, but the last little bit he's released some video of him doing some motion capture for the New DayZ standalone. He's released some in-game stuff showing off the loot systems, how things spawn now, some of the interiors, and some of the environments. The game looks really good so far, and I'm really looking forward to playing that too. Also, been keeping up on Star Citizen news. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you should check it out. It's an amazing looking game coming out soon. That was Kickstart funded, and I think now holds the record for most money made on a Kickstarter game, percentage-wise. That could be. Maybe it's overall. I don't recall exactly, but did extremely well with its Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. They didn't do Kickstarter until like a couple weeks in, but they had their crowdfunding built into their site, and people were so enamored and excited they actually took down their site accidentally just because it was just being accessed too often, too many things going on. It crashed the site once or twice, I think, which I thought was kind of funny, but it looks like a really great sandbox space opera style game made by Chris Roberts, who did Wing Commander, Freelancer, Privateer, all those classics like that. And dude was amazing, and still is. Game looks great. I pledged for it. I'll be playing that. And they do a weekly thing on Fridays called Wingman's Hangar. Wingman's nuts. At least it was, but they changed it to Wingman's Hangar, just so it was a little more PC instead of Wingman's Nuts. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, they were talking about some stuff. They do broadcasts, kind of show what's going on with the team. Fun to watch on. They've got a YouTube channel on here as well that I think you can find by just searching Roberts Space Industries. I'm really looking forward to that. That's not going to be out for like another close to 1.5 to 2 years on the early spectrum, but game looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to it, and they confirmed in the last episode that they'd really like to do built-in VoIP service for people to communicate in-game, as well as there's going to be chat menus, it sounds like, and all that normal stuff too, but so you can open up chat channels with other ships, things like that. They've just talked about. What I would like to see is possibly a broadcast system so that you could host a radio show for people to tune into. I think that'd be really cool. Talk about different things in game, people send in tips and tricks for different areas, or cool trade routes, news on economic stuff, prices on certain things in some systems, good trade routes between systems. I think that'd be a really cool broadcast to listen to, along with other news associated with that, if you could actually get that in-game from other players. Or just whatever. I'd like to have a radio system kind of like what they did in Fallout. I thought it was really cool, but I think it'd be awesome if other people could have their own and broadcast them that way, that you can tune into while you're flying through space. Just personal little things. That's just what I've been thinking about as far as fun things that might go on with said game. Am I coming in? Okay, I am coming in right here. Wow, I totally spaced, and I have been sitting in space for a while, and I apologize for that. But we're going to be getting in close, and I need to burn for 4 seconds, looks like, so let's get in here. T-minus 10. And there we go. Ooh. Oh, what am I doing? I can't do this. Let's bring that in a little bit so that I can actually catch up on this thing. This station's on the total opposite side of where I am, so if I'm setting it right on the same orbit, we're just going to stay pretty much equal distance apart. We're definitely going to eventually someday catch up on one another, but because of such small changes in velocity, it would take forever. Okay, so coming in here, let's get another node set up here and just bring in that other side a little bit. Now, I know that it's not necessary for me to make all these notes for such simple corrections, but when it comes to building space stations and larger structures, I like to be precise. And I like to know ahead of time what I need to be doing, just so that I can kind of keep on top of things. And if I do make mistakes, I have more time to correct them. And I know how to correct them. Those kind of things. It's just planning. Some people get upset when people use in-game tools like this. I think I've mentioned this kind of stuff before, so I'm going to stop. Because nobody likes to hear people complain. Anyway, so yeah, oh, also, another thing that I was going to mention to you guys, I don't know if you guys are fans of classic PC games. Actually came out on Xbox for one of its previous releases, but Thief. Old Thief games. My god, I'm a huge fan, love Thief. And they've just announced, or it's been published, a few new screenshots from the new Thief game, which Thief 4 officially, well, not officially, they're just calling it Thief, I guess. It's kind of like, I don't know if they're trying for a reboot, but a lot of people, it's the fourth one in the series, so a lot of people were referring to it as Thief 4, or a Thief with the A replaced with a 4 in the title, was their running logo for a little while. That has been debunked, I guess. Some people were giving it a lot of crap. I thought it was fine, whatever. People were giving it some crap. So it sounds like they're just going to be calling it Thief. Just straight up Thief. Which I'm fine with, whatever. I don't mind. If the game's fun, it is what it is. Who cares? But, that is that. I'm really pumped about that. That should be awesome. Looking forward to that very much so. Play the old ones a lot. Love those sneaky, stealthy games. And just trying to move through levels unseen, do everything perfect, which never happens because I'm terrible. But I also, if you guys like those style of games and you've been looking for a good game like that in the meantime, if you guys have a computer that can run it or get it on another system, Dishonored was really good. And that same sort of style of gameplay, though, less focused on the thief aspect of it, though that can play a part. There's lots of little objects to find in the game like that, be it potions, runes, whatever else. And if you get the Dunwall City Trials DLC, there actually is some modes in there that really remind me of Thief, where you're actually going through and trying to collect different valuables, things like that, paintings, vases, just, it really is very thiefy. But yeah, that kind of held me over for a little while once I got that around Christmas time from the girlfriend, who's awesome. She bought me that and Far Cry 3. Really surprised. So yeah, that was awesome. No, it's been a little while, and I'd like to do some Let's Plays of both of those. Darn it, I should have asked Bethesda about Dishonored, playing that. Though, hopefully, depending on their response, maybe they'll just say it's totally fine to broadcast their games in general, so I wouldn't have to deal with it, but that'd be awesome. But, we'll wait and see. It is what it is. Legal teams. We'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and get caught up on this station here. This may take a little bit of time. Okay, so there we go. I should be flying straight at the station now. Or what we have for the station thus far, which is nearly nothing. Now this, okay. With the load on the front here, this thing is really hard to fly, but let's see how the views with the cameras are. Rotate those so that they're all upright. Oops. Okay, so there's my side cameras right up front on here. That's one of the changes I made for the long haul, is I've got cameras up front now, so that when I'm in here I can actually kind of get a forward view and keep an eye on my payload. So let's go. Oh, I'm still in rotation mode. So let's do that and turn on my RCS. Push this thing forward. Coming into view here, you can see it down here, and of course on my main screen. Slow this down. And start coming in slowly. Oh boy. Not that fast. Am I in speed up? I think I am. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just going to toss it on the end here. And I'm just going to say screw that. Get rid of this. Put this in a better position. Get this in a better position. So now, ideally, what I'd like to do is I'd like to keep this thing, the node, aligned so far with this. So do that. Bring that thing back. Drop it a bit. Set that as target. We're actually going to control from... Nope, 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 nope. I lied. Go back. Okay, that was a bad idea. I was thinking maybe if I could do that, it would keep us going right. No, but that really threw things off. Well, that's okay. It is what it is. Big deal. Back this up a little bit. Yeah, as I said, I want to keep like these ports flat with these markers, just so that it kind of keeps everything symmetrical, or well, aligned, I'll say. Okay, just gonna back this up. Turn on my lights, even though I don't think they're gonna help much in this instance. Raise that a hair. Start bringing that over. Okay, so we're just coming in nice and slow here. Let's back this thing up a little more. Just get this a little better aligned. Docking can be a little tedious, but if you've got a well-balanced craft, it's pretty darn easy. Now this one's a little off, just because it's carrying a payload, but it's heavy enough and got enough boosters that it has a lot of torque on these things, and I should probably turn on precision control mode for this. Back that up. Also, another thing is if you keep on SAS or if you have MechJeb, the kill rotation works really well for docking. If you have a very unbalanced craft, it's going to burn through a lot of your RCS, but it's better than totally losing a part. If you can actually get it docked, even if you're wasting a lot of fuel, that's what refueling is for. Oh, bring that down a little bit. Oh no. Don't be terrible. There we go. Turn those off, and pretty much docked right away. Look at that. Now it started to spin just because the incoming magnetism had pulled it against this and started to turn the whole darn thing, but whatever. That is fine. Cool trick, at least in this version of the game. If you turn on any version of time warp, not physical time warp, but normal time warp, it kills the physics of the objects and just worries about progressing positionary data, things like that. So it'll kill any wobbles, rotations, things like that of your ship that you're attached to, or anything in the vicinity. And there goes that tank. And I left it going about 3 meters a second, I think, roughly away at an angle that wasn't going to collide, so it just keeps going. And then I corrected it with this final piece. So that gets it out of the way, and eventually removes it from the physics process, so it should speed things up. So here's this. What we're going to do now is actually pop this core top off, because we don't need it. Now that we have MechJeb on here and we have this rotationary piece, we can use it to kill. This was mainly here just to orient this while in position. So, eject, away with you. Wait, why won't you work right? Why won't you work right? Come on. Seriously? Whoa. I must be low. That doesn't seem right. I used the switch targets button, the brackets, and it actually took me way down to the surface. That's odd. Okay. Does it think I'm in time warp? Flights, I don't have gear. What the heck is going on here? I'm in stage lock, but for whatever reason, okay, let's time warp, come back, Alt L, there we go, okay, there we go. I don't know why that happened, and it's freezing, okay, we're good. There, for whatever reason it stage locked itself, so I couldn't eject this, and that's, you know that's the case if this is purple. Stage locked. You can't do any sort of manipulation other than camera and things like that. I think you may be able to do a few other things, but you can't like use parts. You can't do that kind of stuff. You can't get these menus to pop up properly. You can't decouple things. So there goes that. That is just ejecting away. Okay. So cool, there's that. We've ejected off that MechJeb part. What I'm going to do now is just put this on a better position. Back up. Come out along here. And we're going to be docking on this end, where the solar arrays will go. But for now, it's just for me. And I am getting lots of slowdown on this today. I don't know why this is. Okay. So we're coming in. Am I too shallow? Yeah, a little bit. Pull you back. rotating, you bastard. So the station's just rotating a bit, which is causing some issue. Seriously. Okay, there we go. So that's one reason you want these stations to be pointing north, so they're not rotating in odd ways. Come on. Oh, I think I broke it. I don't know why this is going so unsmoothly at the moment. This is ridiculous. This should not be having so much trouble running this. This is such a small station right at the moment. Okay, so there we go. Everything should be a bit better. Stop your damn rotating. So there we go. Now, while we have the chance, we're just going to go ahead and rotate this thing over to the north, so that hopefully when we bring up another part, we won't have so much issue, because that's just ridiculous. That's one thing I've noticed about these quantum struts. They don't always seem to want to activate. Now, it says they're activated in an active state, but you don't see the beams. I don't know if they're actually providing stability, or if they're just being buggy. So sometimes you have to go back and reactivate. Not a big deal. No, stay in position, you bastard. Okay, so that is our start of our Mun station. If you've got ideas for names, just let me know, and we'll go ahead and take a peek at some of those names, see what we get. So here we go. Oh yeah, and there's, as you can see, if you're right on north or south, it'll just sit here and rotate around that, because you're flat to the equator. And that's why. Okay guys, well, we'll see you next time. Cheers.